I was born as an active child. People were always watching over me so that I wouldn't do something silly, which might lead to an accident. In the end, it had happened. Green light, pedestrian, bus stop. Everyone is walking, but I'm running. A man whose first son out of 10 girls was just born was driving a motorcycle. My mother is watching, I'm running, the motorcycle is driving. Suddenly, I get caught up between the motorcycle and the cradle, and I start spinning. I slam into a tree, he crashes. A handlebar hits my head. My mother witnesses this all. I get an open craniocerebral trauma with a complete spinal injury. At that time, I was 5.5 years old. You know, my body had gone through a mincing machine. My arms, legs, and spine had been broken. 4 years, I was in a plaster cast. Before medicine hadn't been as developed as it is now, before you were put into a plaster cast and that was it. We had a very good doctor, he trained us. Then I remember how the plaster cast was removed. He tied my legs to his. I remember that well. My legs were placed into his slippers, tied with an elastic bandage, so I walked this way. I thought that he was playing with me. Now, as years passed, I understand that the doctor was helping us to recover. My rehabilitation has grown into sport because I train all the time. Even if I drop sport, anyway I must exercise. I wake up in the morning, train for an hour to tone my muscles. I went for track and field athletics because wheelchair racing started and I joined them. I was so into sport and it kept me going. At home, the only topic to discuss was competitions. My mother said, "How will I let you go alone?" I answered, "Mother, we have assistants, we have trainers. We went to Almaty for the competitions, where I'd won first 5 places. In 1994, I won wheelchair races again. We are allowed to participate in 2 types of races. During rehabilitation in Moscow, we had a small pool and we gathered toys there. We sat and learned how to remain afloat. This way, I learned how to swim. I feel very comfortable in water, just like a fish, very well. And due to this rehabilitation, now I do sport. This had inspired me so much. I'd learned how to swim. Afterwards, we had tennis competitions. I played tennis. I did shooting, tried plenty of sports, even lifted the bar. A coach looked at me and thought, yes, she needs training. He then decided to become my personal coach. At that point in time, I took part in wheelchair dancing. We danced with my daughter, even received Grand Prix.
We've met 10 years ago, bringing them to the national tournaments. Holding regional competitions, I happened to visit the Asian Paralympic Games in Tokyo, Japan. I saw how this all is developing on an international level and got so motivated to cultivate sport among the physically challenged people. In parallel, I trained Zulfiya. I remember how she was riding on the road in her wheelchair in storm, in hot and in snow.
There are lots of kinds of people, but lots of angry people as well, who were looking at us as we were leprotic, as if we bring something evil or as if something bad is coming from us. For the first time, visitors, women, were fearful. "Are you gonna swing with us?" I say, "Come on, don't be scared, I won't drown you." I tried to make others feel comfortable because they were the ones who felt self-conscious, not us. Now, of course, people look at it differently. Many things have changed because things have opened up and many people started to come out. Lots of people with disabilities began to work, do sport, study, and people changed their attitude towards us compared to Soviet times. At that time, I have won, and when I arrived to Kazakhstan, people came and asked, "May I take a picture with you? Could you sign here, please?" I think to myself, before people were avoiding me, but now there's coming and asking. This way, my rehabilitation has turned into sport. Step by step, we began professional trainings from 2007. In 2010, we went to Asian Games for the first time. I am grateful that my coach didn't hesitate about my age. And when he was told, "How come you're wasting time with her? She's already old for sport. Don't dedicate time for her." "No," he said, "we will allocate time for her. She has enthusiasm, she has zest, she has special drive."
We have been working very well in tandem. Take glimpse from the first word we understand each other. Zulfiya is a unique person. There is practically no one like her in the world. As far as I know, only 2 sportsmen in her age do sport, but they are on the 18th, 20th place. Zulfiya is number 1. She's the only aged sportsman who's leading at a global scale.
In 2012, I received a license for the Olympic Games. In 1990, at the time of the first competitions, a journalist asked me, "What are you dreaming about?" "Oh, I really wanted to go to the Olympiad." When I obtained this license, I remembered what I was talking about. Again, I lose there and cry. I say, "That's it. It's enough of sport. I'm quitting." But my coach said, "So many years you've devoted to sport. You've invested so much into it. Don't you feel sorry for leaving this halfway?" Right then, success has started. In Canada World Championship, we had a record. Asian Games, a record, first place. Europe, a record, first place. He then says, "Well, then we have Olympic Games ahead." That was my first Olympic medal. I see it with my eyes. I understand that I have won, but I don't feel that I'm a winner. I couldn't identify myself as an Olympic champion for a while, and when the flag was going up, it felt as if it was raising, not because of me, but because Kazakhstan was putting me on a pedestal. I was so proud that Kazakhstani flag was raised.
Before that, Paralympic athletes earned 5 times less bonus pay than Olympic athletes. But because of this unique gold medal that Zulfiya has won, the Paralympians got equal to the Olympians. Now the road has opened for many Paralympic sportsmen who can realize their potential in sport, come off with flying colors, improve their economic realities, see the world, enjoy the taste of victory and do sport consistently. This is all because of the law which was approved based on a record in Paralympic Games.
When my mom loses, it all turns into tears. You try not to cry because you have special competition with your mother. If I cry, she cries then. And we feel each other even if my mom is overseas. When you watch her swim, it takes the breath away until the last minutes. When she wins, it ends. You become happy and jump for joy. I have never thought I'd have a family. I grew up, I fell in love, I was working as a factory supervisor under the auspices of the Disabled Society, and there came a man. We met, started dating, got married, had a wedding and a registration ceremony, just like others. When I was coming home, I said, "Mom, I'm living in the fairy tale. The fairy tale ended when I got pregnant." My mother-in-law and my mother got invited to the doctor. "You need to do something with your daughter. Get an abortion." I come home, no one talks to me. That's it, the fairy tale ended. We don't need a child. Tomorrow you're having an abortion. I tell them, no, I won't do that. I'm a woman. I also want to be a mother for my child. We will have a sick child. I say, well, who said the child is going to be ill? So what if he is to be born sick? It will be our own child. No, we don't need an ugly creature at our home. You either have an abortion, live with a family, as all normal people do, or you leave home. I called my brother and the next day I left home. We came home, my mother was there. She says, deep inside, tears are bursting out, but I can't show you them. At the same time, you're with me. You're close. Yes, my anger towards my husband and my mother-in-law has gone now. Everything is gone. I have one thing. I'm so grateful for my precious, lovely child. A month after I buried my mother, I went out to sell cigarettes and sunflower seeds. You need to do something. I had to do something. Had to make both ends meet. Got so tired. Then I started to sell newspapers. My wheelchair had a special envelope for newspapers, and my daughter sat at the bottom. The people I met were understanding. That's how gradually things got better and better. Because of my family and those kind people, I managed to get by.
I get asked, how many daughters do you have? I say 5. How 5? 4? I tell them, the eldest one is here, Zulfiya.
Whenever I get hurt by someone, I shrink into myself. Come on, those people had worse situations than mine, and somehow I get over it. So when I fall down, everyone gets shocked, and if I don't want to add more shock to that, so I say, it's all right. Thanks, it's not a big deal, it's okay, I'll change clothes. Not the first time I'm moving around dirty. Deep inside, surely it hurts. I cry secretly. Many times I buy some groceries and heading home, tie the bags at the back of my wheelchair. When I come home, the bags hang, but the food is gone. They've made a hole. I then think, so what? Children are running after me. Let them run. But actually, my groceries are dropping, and those kids are gathering the food. In front of my daughter, I try to pretend that all is well. Rose-colored. However, when she goes to sleep, I cry and grieve on my own. Then you think, well, okay, life is going on. It's nothing. I have survived such an accident. This is no big deal. I was a very selfish person, but I have been self-centered when I got really sick, when I felt bad. When everything was good, I loved my mother. I kissed my mother. She thought the world of me. Though whenever I got sick, she didn't know how to help me. She tried but failed, and I lost my temper. After giving birth to a child, I perfectly understand my mother now. My mother passed away when my daughter was 9 months old. Now I share all my love with my daughter and tell everyone to give love while their mothers are still alive. Mothers don't need anything. Just say, Mother, I love you, and she shines. I tell everyone, take care of your parents, because I know how mean I was during my sickness. My mother did everything to make sure my brother and I were happy. I never felt abandoned in a wheelchair. Family and friends always loved me and protected me. Consequently, I grew up in such a warm-hearted and supporting atmosphere. I didn't possess any qualities like nastiness. I'm happy to live even in such circumstances. Perhaps it was meant to be. Maybe I needed to overcome all of these obstacles to finally appreciate how valuable my life is.